Hi everybody, welcome to week 6 of our Twitter marketing course with George Brown College. This week we are going to be talking about contests. So just a reminder, if you want to get in touch with me, you can send me an email to aligbc@gmail.com, and I do my best to get back to your emails within 24 hours. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on what's going on in the world. Thank you so much for those of you who have been tweeting with our discussion questions. I enjoy seeing everybody's responses. So let's continue on with this week's lecture.
Today we are going to be covering why run a contest in the first place, goals. Obviously, pretty much every week I have a section on goals, and that's because good marketers set goals, good business people set goals, so we want some things that we can measure. We're going to talk about participants and actions, content and management, which is basically how do you deliver this contest. We're going to talk about budget, winner selection, follow-up, and then we're going to go through assignment 6. So first off, why run a contest? Well, there are a couple of different reasons why you can run a contest, and really it's all about enticing people to engage with you. It's about showcasing your product. It's about showing your followers that you appreciate them. And it's really just a way for you to engage people with some incentives. First and foremost, you need to know the rules of running a contest on Twitter, and these rules come directly from Twitter, and there's an article in your readings for this week that goes through all of this. So you want to discourage people from creating multiple accounts. You don't want people to be posting the same tweet repeatedly, so you don't want your contest to be the person who retweets this the most wins, and there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is because that tweet that people are retweeting is going to get filtered out of Twitter search results. So it's going to decrease your reach and the potential that you have for getting your message in front of new people. It can also cause Twitter to report whoever is retweeting you as spam. So you don't want to inadvertently get your follower, your fan, to be reported as spam and lose their account. You do want to ask for mentions, so you want people to say, don't forget to @reply or @mention us on Twitter. This is a way for you to count people who are participating and encourage people to engage. It also alerts you, so you can, you'll get a notification, and then you can say thanks, or you can heart it, or you can retweet it, or do whatever it is that you want to do with that tweet. You want to keep your discussions relevant. So as you're promoting this contest or as you're talking about it, you want to make sure that you're using relevant hashtags. So you don't want to be newsjacking, which is just looking at trending tweets or trending hashtags, trending topics on Twitter, and just using those hashtags to try and get your contest in front of people. That's spam. It's a faux pas on Twitter, and it can get your account suspended or completely deleted. You obviously want to follow the regular rules of Twitter, and you want to know your local laws. So I have a link to information about contests and sweepstakes in Canada, and you do want to make sure that you're following the rules. If you look at terms and conditions on a lot of different contests that happen in Canada, you'll see things for exclusions in Quebec. And there are reasons for that. So you just want to make sure that you know the local laws. All right, we want to be goals-based. So you need a purpose. Why are you running this Twitter contest? What are your goals? Your goals can be growth. It can be engagement. Maybe you want follower appreciation. You want to promote your product or your service. Maybe you want more e-news signups. There are a bunch of different things that you can do for your Twitter contest, and as long as you have a goal and you've justified your goal and it makes sense to you and your brand and the target audience that you have, then you will be good to go. You do want to make sure that your goal is measurable. So if, for example, you want to increase your followers by 10% or 100 users, you need to make sure that you can measure that goal. And determining your exact amount, there's no exact science to this, and you do want to be reasonable. So take a look at what your week over week or your month over month numbers are when there's no contest running. So if you want to run a contest in July, then take a look at the past few months and see how many people you gain in terms of followers just organically. Or, if you're running an ad campaign, what what are the increases that you can see? And you can base those numbers on, you can base your contest goal numbers on those kind of organic numbers. So if you typically get 20 new followers a month, maybe the goal for your contest is to double that. That's a 50% increase. So even though the number might be small, if you're getting 20 new followers a month and all of a sudden you jump up to 40 new followers a month, depending on how much money you're spending on your prize, that can be a great return on investment. So you definitely want to keep those things in consideration, and you want to test, measure. That is the way to be great at Twitter. All right, let's consider our participants and the actions they're going to take. So what is the participant buy-in? If you are new to Twitter, you don't want people to jump through hoops. So for example, if you are trying to grow your following and you're going to run a contest to do that, maybe you just want people to follow you and retweet a message. You don't want people to have to follow you and then retweet this message and then post 6 times in the next month about whatever it is that you want to do. So you want it to be a really low barrier to entry. If you have a really engaged audience, you might be able to entice them to do a little bit more. So maybe you want them to tweet a photo, or you want them to share an experience. So if you have an engaged audience, or if you know that people are super engaged with your brand, then you're probably much more likely to get that type of engagement with people. Your participants will depend on your goal. So, if your goal is growth, then your participants you're probably not going to be targeting your current Twitter followers. You want to keep in mind that the messages are going to be written to entice new people to follow you. So you want to keep these things in mind. And then you also really want to make sure that you have a website or web page or a blog post or something with rules and regulations or your terms and conditions. So you really want to make sure that the rules are set out and obvious to your participants so that you set expectations right from the start. You want to match your participants to your goals and your goals to your actions. So I was thinking about this a lot and trying to find out the best way to present it. And I'd made some notes and I figured, hey, let's share some notes and show everybody my chicken scratch. I am a human. I'm not just a voice robot behind a computer screen. So across the top, you will see just this first row here. This is your goals. So if your goals are new growth, who are you going to target? Well, you're going to target your new followers. You want there to be a very low barrier to entry, so follow us. And the winning item should be something that's a great introduction to your brand. So if they're new to following you, then maybe they don't know much about your brand. So whatever they're winning needs to be something that is a great introduction to your brand, something that keeps them engaged with your brand and gives a great first impression. And if you're using Twitter growth as your goal, follow-up is going to be really important for these people to keep them engaged with your brand. So you do want to keep that in mind as well. If your goal is to increase your engagement, then you're going to be targeting your new followers as well as existing. So the action that you want them to take is going to be some sort of make sure that you're following us, but then also share your photo about X, or tell us about this thing, or comment about this current event. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that if your goal is engagement, that you're asking them to engage. And the thing that they win should be a brand reinforcement. So if you are, let's say you're Mountain Equipment Co-op and you want people to engage with your brand on Twitter more. So maybe your contest is share your camping photo with us. Your win should be something that reinforces Mountain Equipment Co-op as a brand. So for those who don't know Mountain Equipment Co-op, they're an outdoor store. They're co-op based, so they're a members based company. So you go into Mountain Equipment Co-op, you buy your $5 membership card, and then you can buy anything at Mountain Equipment Co-op. And as a member, you can vote and engage in how the business is run. So when we're talking about brand reinforcement, a Mountain Equipment Co-op gift card would be a super great win. A Visa gift card would be a useless win. People definitely like free money, but if you're not reinforcing your brand and getting them to go back to your brand and spend that money there and re-engage with you, then you've really missed the mark. And as far as I'm concerned, giving people a cash money prize is, there aren't a lot of really great justifications for giving people just straight up cash when you could give them an opportunity to engage with your brand. And you know, even if you don't have something right off the top of your head for people to engage with your brand, maybe you want to reinforce that you are part of a cause. So, you know, maybe you want people to tweet about their experience with wildlife, and then you can give them a $100 gift certificate to Canada Helps, and then they can use that gift certificate from Canada Helps to make a donation to whatever charity they see fit. So there are different options, but you definitely want to be giving people reasons to re-engage with your brand. If your goal is customer appreciation, then you want to be targeting your existing followers with that type of content. You want there to be engagement and user-generated content. So, for example, I have examples below, but just off the top of my head, if you are, you know, a clothing company and you do like workwear, so say you're something like Carhartt. Carhartt makes great work clothing for people who do manual labor. Their stuff is really solid. It lasts a long time, even for guys and gals that are doing really intense, you know, crazy manual labor outside and things like that. So maybe you want people to share how much they love their Carhartts, or share your Carhartt love, or show us how well worn your Carhartt is, and you can win a brand new pair of Carhartt pants or something like that. Or, you know, show us how worn in your old Carhartts are, and we'll give you a new pair or something like that. So you really want to get people to reinforce why they are loving your brand and how much you love them as a customer. And then their win should be some sort of brand value. So it's similar to this brand reinforcement. If you appreciate them, then, you know, what are they going to get from you to show that you value them as a customer? If you want to do promoting your product or service, you want to be targeting new and existing people. And a good thing to be asking people is, why do you need product/service? So if you are, for example, a toy company and you've got this brand new toy coming out, maybe you want people to tweet you why they need that new toy in their life. Why would your kids love this toy? And then they win that product or service. So you want to be keeping in mind, of course, how much these wins cost. How much does it cost you as a brand to be giving away these types of things? But you also, you know, need to think that it's going to go a long way. If people have a really good experience with your brand, with your product, with your service, then they're going to be repeat customers. So it's an opportunity to build loyalty. If you are trying to drive web or e-news views or subscriptions, you want to focus on existing, because they already have a connection to your brand. And when you're thinking about those marketing funnels and how people are finding you, it might be a tough sell to get somebody to sign up to your e-newsletter if they aren't even following you on Twitter. So you want to focus on your existing followers. You want to get them to sign up or read now. And then their win is going to be some sort of brand enforcement. So again, it's, you know, thank you for taking the time to take that next level up. And here is a really great way that you can interact with our brand. And this is a really good experience that you're going to have with our brand. And I did put a little asterisk here on the web and the reading. When you do read this, it's going to be hard to capture people. It's going to be hard to measure to see whether or not somebody has read your content. It's going to be really difficult to fulfill this contest requirements. And I think that an e-news sign up is much more valuable, especially when we consider that in terms of digital marketing, email still has the highest return on investment of any other type of marketing channel. So keep in mind that if you have an e-newsletter that you have not been using, or if you've got this email list that you haven't been using, you should really try and leverage it within, of course, the scope of what your audience is expecting from you. But a really great converting e-newsletter can be super powerful for your business. So when it comes to asking people to sign up for something, signing up for your e-newsletter can be a really great way to build that list. And if you're just starting to build your e-newsletter, then this is a really great chance, because if you know, and if you've got a plan for your e-newsletter that, you've got great content planned, you've got great sales pitches planned, you think your calls to action are going to be awesome. If this is going to be driving your online sales, this e-newsletter, then you definitely want to start building up that list sooner rather than later. Okay, so here are some examples. Now, some of these examples are going to be actual examples of Twitter contests that I found online, and some of them are going to be ones that I've thought up of for different brands based on the different goals. So this first one is is for people to win a signed poster. So this person is the artist that made the poster, and so she was giving away a signed copy, which is really cool. So to celebrate reaching 600 followers and Savannah Appreciation Day, retweet and follow to win a signed Wicked UK poster. So that's a really easy way for people. So you're getting people to follow you, you're getting people to retweet you. So you're driving growth with this, and then the people who follow are obviously fans in some way of either the person or Wicked. So I mean, I think this is a really great example of how you can leverage Twitter for growth. So this is an engagement contest, and this was run a really long time ago, but I think it was a good one. So we're going to stick with it. And you can see another good thing here is that there's a photo to go along with the tweet, and that can really make it stand out in the timeline, especially because this is such an iconic visual of Wicked. The two witches, the green face, the kind of like dark and gloomy juxtaposed with the light and starry. So it's an interesting visual. It shows you what you're going to win. It sets an expectation. So again, with this one, so this is a Mashable fiction contest, and so what they were trying to do was to get people to write a short story in a single tweet, and then they posted a link to their rules and regulations. So there are definitely some things that they could do to improve, but you've got a great image to draw people's attention. You have really simple instructions. You have a link to more information. I think that they probably could have put a little bit more information about what you could win, but that was all in their contest information. So really simple, really easy way for people to engage. Appreciation. So I wanted to. This is something that happens a lot on the Facebook page of Kuriki Press. And so these Kuriki is an embroidery company, and what they do is they have these little critter kits, and they sell all of the elements, and then you do the embroidery and you sew them together and you stuff them. So it's a way of doing. It's like a DIY craft, but somebody has given you all of the great tools, so you don't have to think too much. You just kind of execute and follow the instructions. And I know these guys because my daughter is totally obsessed with them. And she's got quite a collection. They've got, 20 or 30 little critters now, and they're always coming out with new designs, new patterns, new critters. It's amazing. So an appreciation contest for Kuriki Press would be something like, tweet us your finished projects for a chance to win our newest critter before it's available to buy. So it does double duty for this one. It is fan appreciation. So it shows people, we love seeing what you do, and we really appreciate that you're current customers, and we want to reward you by giving you the newest, most adorable, coolest little critter for you to add to your little collection before anybody else can. So, let's say their next one is going to be a shark or something like that. Then you get the shark before anybody else does. You get to see the pattern before anybody else does. You get the exclusive. And as a customer, that feels really cool to be the first person or one of the first people to have access to that. Can make people feel really, really great and can build some brand loyalty. And then, of course, it teases the product. So everybody else who enters the contest is like really chomping at the bit to see what it's going to be. So even if you haven't announced, if they hadn't announced what that new critter is going to be, it doesn't matter. Like people know that all of the critters that they have are adorable, and people chomp at the bit to get the next one. And they often sell out. They're always at one-of-a-kind stores. They're at all the little craft shops in Toronto, and they've opened up their own little shop in Toronto as well to just do workshops and sell their adorable embroidery critters. So this is a company that can really leverage the appreciation goal for their Twitter contest. So maybe you want to do a product or service promo. So I picked Keen shoes. I own several pairs of Keen shoes. They have a wide range of products, and people who are fans of Keen are pretty hardcore fans of Keen. They have a really high quality shoe. It's, their shoes are, fairly expensive. I mean, they're not hundreds of dollars, but you're probably going to pay about between $120 and $200 for a pair of shoes or a pair of boots. And so they also know that their target audience is quite active. So a great contest for them to, maybe they want to get people thinking about their shoes, would say, where would you take your new Keen shoes? Tweet us your adventure for a chance to win a brand new pair. #KeenAdventure. And for a while they were running a similar version of this, promoting the Bruce Trail. So they were sponsoring sponsoring the Bruce Trail, trying to raise money for the Bruce Trail. And when people tweeted their photo of them in their Keens on the Bruce Trail, they were entered for a chance to win a new pair of Keens, plus Keen would make a donation in their name to the Bruce Trail Association, or whatever the organization was. So this is a way to showcase their product by getting people to think about how they would be using their product. And then, of course, if you're like, oh, where would I take my new Keen shoes? I'm going to go to the Keen website. I'm going to take a look at the different shoes that they have. Oh, they've got these really great trail runners. Oh, I would totally go running, down by the waterfront trail in my new trail runners. So it gets people thinking about their brand, thinking about their product, and then they win the product. So this is engaging people by getting them to tweet at Keen, and it's reinforcing that product. Okay, well, what if you are, maybe you're service-based and you really want to get more people signed up to your e-newsletter. So I'm using my friend Shannon at the New School of Finance. So she has a really great e-newsletter where you get, and I think it's a fairly high converting e-newsletter as well. So she gives you tips and tricks about financial planning, and she has these really great courses. Plus she's also service-based, so you can pay to have her or one of her other financial advisors give you a financial session, so you can talk about your personal finances. They'll do your taxes for you. If you are single or a family, or you're sole proprietor, they'll do your taxes for you. And then they've also got online courses that you can take, and they've got the Sole Prop School, which is all based for sole proprietors, or they have individual budgeting information. So they've got a great course called Budgeting with Your Boo. I buy that for all of my friends who get engaged and have not talked with their significant other about budgeting. They get the Budgeting with Their Boo course as an engagement present from me, and it walks you through how to talk with your partner about money. It talks about how you budget together, what the different things are that you need to consider when it comes to tax time, all that sorts of stuff. So they have this really great e-newsletter, and one of their goals is to increase the number of people who are signed up for that e-newsletter. So a great contest for them would be to sign up for our e-newsletter for a chance to win a free 30-minute financial planning session with our newest advisor. So Shannon's also growing her business, and she's hired some new folks lately. And so to get those new staff members to have a little bit more clientele, what's better than a free 30-minute session with a financial planner? That can be worth, depending on what you accomplish in that financial planning session, that can be worth hundreds of dollars in terms of what the winner gets out of it. And if they know that, their regular sessions are about an hour or an hour and a half for you to sit down and go through all of your finances. So this is not a full session. It's very much a meet and greet session, a chance for you to understand what their service base is all about. Then, that might cost them $100 in terms of you coming in and sitting down for 30 minutes with somebody. But if you become a repeat customer, that's great. And then if they know that, they get 100 subscriptions and their conversion rate is something like, even 5%, then they know that it's worth that $100 that they're going to be spending to get people to sign up to their e-newsletter by giving them this win. So those are some examples of how you can make use of Twitter contests. Content and management is very important. So we did go through a little bit in terms of content, like what the basis of the actual what your action is. So this is your action: sign up for our newsletter for a chance to win. So what is the content and how are you going to manage it? So here are some elements to consider in terms of your content, because you're not just going to put out one tweet. You're going to be promoting it. You're going to be talking about it, making sure that people are engaging with your contests. So do you want a contest hashtag? You want to make sure that it's identifiable more than just hashtag contest. You need to make sure that you have simple instructions for people to enter. You don't want them to have to retweet and then, send another Twitter account this message and then upload your photo 3 days later and then 2 days after that retweet this message. You want to make sure that it's super simple and easy for people to enter, low barrier to entry. The whole point is for you to make it easy for people to interact with you. You want to make sure that you've got a deadline. So when is your contest running? Is it running for the entire month of July? Are you running it for just a week? Make sure that that is known to people, and you can use images and videos to help get these messages across, because you still only have 140 characters with your tweet and you don't want to take up all that space with all the rules and regulations. So you can use images and video to help get all of this information across. You also want to consider your promo tactics. Are you going to be tweeting at specific people to notify them of the contest? Are you going to be tweeting, 2 weeks in advance to let people know that you're going to be running a contest? Are you going to be paying to promote this contest? That's another budgetary consideration. You also want to make sure that you update your profile to match. So if you are running a contest, your URL should be a link, your profile page URL should be a link to the rules and regulations for that contest. Your profile picture should stay the same, but your cover image should be information about that contest, and it should be visual. It should not have a ton of text on it, and it should really get the point across quickly. And again, when it comes to images and video, you want to think about, do we already have video and image assets on hand? Do we need to create them? Do we need to hire a designer? Can we create these images through Canva? Do we need to pay for stock images? Do we need to take our own photos of our product? What are your budgetary considerations for that? In terms of your content, you're going to want to have a contest announcement. You want to have reminders or a countdown to the final day. You want to have images that will reinforce your rules, that will encourage participation, that entice people to want to be part of the contest. And then you want to consider your schedule. So you're going to have your contest content going out, but you're also going to have your regular content, and how are you going to manage that? So are you going to use something like Hootsuite? Are you going to use something like Buffer? Are you going to make sure that you're not spamming people with your contest information? Like, you don't want to be posting every 5 minutes about your contest, because if you've got some followers that are only following, 100 accounts or less, all of a sudden their entire feed is going to be your contest information, and you're going to get a really quick unfollow. You don't want to be a spammer, because as we mentioned before, just as much you don't want to get people to be retweeting the same message over and over again, you don't want to be posting the same contest message over and over and over again. You want to vary your message. You want to add different photos. You want to add different text, all with the same message, but you don't want to be posting the same thing over and over again, because your account is going to be flagged as spam. Management, again, what tools are you going to use? So we've talked about the tools: Hootsuite, Buffer, TweetDeck. Are you going to use desktop Twitter? Are you going to use anything to track your hashtag? These are all things that you want to consider when you're running a contest, and you want to make sure that you have all of this all of this sorted out and a plan in place before you start running your contest, because there's nothing worse than starting something and realizing that you didn't take everything into consideration and, oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to track my hashtag, or I don't know how I'm going to do anything. Think about your budget. So do you need to pay to promote? And if you're new to Twitter and you're trying to gain followers, you might need to pay to promote your contest. It could be a way to get more mileage out of an ad campaign. So, if you know that you've got a $5 a day budget to run an advertising campaign to help increase your followers, maybe you want that advertising campaign to be a contest promotion. So you're doing double duty. So not only are you paying to get more followers because that's the ad campaign that you're running, but you're enticing people again to follow you with something. So you can test that. So maybe, the month of June, you run just a regular follower campaign, advertising campaign where you pay to get more followers on your account. That's June. And then July, maybe you run a contest and pay the same amount of money in terms of an advertising budget, but then add in that additional contest element and see which one is more effective. I think that would be a really interesting test to do. I think that it would be, depending on your brand, it could be super successful and you might get a crazy return on investment from that. You really want to think about the cost of winning. So if you look at your goals, that's going to be the first thing that you do. Look at your goals and then think about, if your goal is to get 100 new followers, what are those 100 followers worth to you? What are 10 new email subscribers worth to you? And then think about, is that amount more or less than what the win item is? And if you are, there are other things to consider too. So if you are promoting a product and say, your Keen shoes, and you're promoting for people to buy your shoes, if you're showcasing your product every time you tweet about your contest, you've got that advertising mileage as well. So there are other things to consider. It's not always just like bottom line, I'm getting 100 new followers on my Twitter account and it's costing me like a $100 pair of Keen shoes, retail $100, whatever the wholesale cost is. I don't know, $50. Don't know what their markup is, but what is that cost you? How much is it costing you? Is it worth it? If you only get one new follower, it might not be worth it unless that new follower is going to buy 100 pairs of shoes. So there are different things to be considering. You don't want to be giving away something for $1,000 if you're not going to get $1,000 worth out of the contest. In your first contest, maybe you want to aim a little bit lower in terms of what you're giving away. If you're not sure how well it's going to work, if you're not sure how well it's going to go, and if you don't have a large following already, you just want to make sure that you're not setting yourself up to fail or setting yourself up to spend a lot of money when you're not sure how well that will go. And then winner selection. So you have to be fair. Based on your contest rules, you need to pick a winner, and there are a couple of ways to do that. So I'm going to see if these websites will load. So the first one is a thing called TweetDraw, and it's something from the competition agency. And what you can do is if you have an original tweet that people were supposed to retweet, you can copy and paste the URL of that tweet into the box here, and you can pick a random retweet. If you want to pick a random follower, I can do this with my account. You just type in your Twitter username and you can pick a random follower, and Lynn, congratulations, you just won my demo. Or you can pick a hashtag as well. So this is a tool. It's free. You can use it. It's in your required reading. Another way that you can do it is use if this then that plus the Google random number generator. So if this then that is a tool that builds recipes, and so if an action is taken, then this will happen. So there is one for Twitter. I actually have one set up for this course. So you can do Twitter. So these are my apps. So if there's a new tweet and it's using our course hashtag, then I put a new row into a spreadsheet. So let's see if we can just, I'll do it the way that you would see it. So if tweet, then, sorry. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, it's not going to show me because I've already got it set up. Oh, here. Do I? So you can save tweets featuring specific content into a Google spreadsheet. You can turn that on and you can tell it what to say. So what am I going to search for? Maybe I'm going to search for happy contest. And I add a new row to my spreadsheet. And it'll put all of the information into my spreadsheet. So you need to note that after 2,000 rows, a new spreadsheet will be made. So you just want to keep that in mind. And then once you have all this information and you've got all of your tweets into a spreadsheet, you can go to a Google random number generator. So let's say you had 3,000 entries. So that's how many rows that you have. You can generate your random number, and whoever is on row 1,736 is your winner. So that's another way that you can select your winner. And if you don't already use If This Then That, I highly recommend checking it out, not just for this course, but there's a lot of really cool applets that you can use. And you can just use the search function, if you want to get alerts about stocks, if you want to add certain things to your Google Drive, or maybe every time you favorite a tweet, you want to add that to tweet to a line in your spreadsheet so you can go back and read it. There are all sorts of things that you can do. And then, of course, you want to announce your winner. So if you run the contest on Twitter, you want to announce on Twitter. And it's really important to do this for accountability purposes. So everybody who's participating is going to want to see who won the contest. So you can announce the winner, use their username, say congratulations. If you had a hashtag for your contest, you want to make sure that you use that hashtag, and you can pin that tweet to the top of your feed so that when people are coming back to look and see if anybody's won, they see that information. So it's important for accountability and to show that you do follow through on your contests. So many years ago, there were a lot of issues with companies running contests on social media, and they either weren't announcing their winners or not selecting winners at all, and just, using the fact that there were hundreds of people participating to show like, oh, I guess somebody won that. You really need to be accountable. And you also need to make sure that you're picking things fairly. So you don't just want to pick your friends to win that new pair of Keen shoes, or you don't want to, you don't want to pick an employee to win that new pair of Keen shoes and then they just don't actually get that new pair of Keen shoes. So you just want to make sure that you're being fair and accountable and transparent. And then follow up. So this is just really briefly, anytime that you are running a contest or you're running an ad campaign, you don't want to blast out all of this information and put all of this energy into generating new followers or generating engagement and then do nothing with it. So you don't want to run a contest and say, okay, I reached my goal of 100 new followers. Now I don't need to worry about Twitter again until I want to run my next contest. You want to be making sure that you've got your plan in place, you've got your content strategy in place, so that once you gain all of these new followers and you've set their expectations for what to expect, that you then deliver on those expectations. So following up and making sure that you're not doing all of this work in vain is very, very important.
So for your assignment this week, you are going to be building a contest. So it looks very long because there's a lot of details, but I actually only want your assignment to be a maximum of 2 pages submitted. So you can use either, 12, maybe 11 point if you're using Roboto, but I don't want you to make it teeny weeny so that I can't see it. So 2 pages. And here's what I want. So I want you to give me a contest summary. So what is your contest? What brand are you using? What do you want to achieve? And what will the participant win? And also, what is the win-win? So why is this a useful contest for your brand? And I will say that it's probably best if you write this section last. So after you've gone through and defined your goals, your action, written your content, and considered your budget and everything like that. but put it at the very top of your assignment. Then I want you to define your goals. So think about what you want to achieve overall. And is this a reasonable goal for your brand? So think about what the specific measurement is. If your goal is for follower growth, then what number are you aiming for? I want you to be specific, but so if you have 100 followers right now and you want to get to 1,000, that's fine. If you want to see a certain percentage increase in followers, that's great too. But I also really want you to explain why followers is important for your brand. So if you decide that you want to increase your followers by 10%, tell me why that is important to you as opposed to something like increasing your engagement with people. So I just want you to be thinking more strategically about these goals that you're setting for yourself. Then you're going to define your actions. So how are people going to be participating? What are they going to win? Does what they're winning relate to your brand? Like, do these people care? How does it help your brand? Are there going to be any exclusions? Think about how long your promo is going to run for and what is the deadline for your entry. So I want you to use real world like calendar dates for this, and think about something that you might actually run in the future for your brand or for your personal account, something like that. So think about what the deadline is, because you always want to have an end date, because it gives people a sense of urgency to participate. And you don't want things to drag on for too long. A constant contest that goes on for like 3 months, people are going to lose interest in it just because there's so many other things coming at them. There's a lot going on. So then I want you to write your content and identify your management tools. So create a content calendar for the duration of your contest. What are you going to post? When are you going to post it? What multimedia will you need? So when I say multimedia, I mean, are you going to need videos? Are you going to need images? And then I want you to create just one of those images, not at least one. Just create one image that you will use to promote your contest on Twitter. So you can use Canva, you can use Pablo, you can use Photoshop if that's what you like to use. If you use Pixlr, like whatever it is that you want to use, just create an image that you're going to use to promote your contest on Twitter. And how are you going to update your profile? So are you going to change your cover photo? Are you going to pin a tweet onto the top of your timeline for when people come to see you? Is something going to be said in your profile picture? Are you going to change anything in your bio? Is the link going to change? So just think about that. And then I want you to think about what tools you will use to manage your contests. So in our lecture, we discussed different tools that can be used. You can pick from any of those ones, or if you've used another tool before for managing contests, you can use that one as well. Think about your budget. So will you spend any money to promote this contest and justify your decision? If if you know that a 10% increase in followers is worth $10,000 for your brand, let's say, just throwing numbers out there, then spending $100 is probably justifiable. But if you have no idea what the ROI is going to be on those new followers, as an example, then does it make sense to be paying any money to promote it? If you can justify your decision, then I don't think that there's necessarily a wrong answer. It's all about whether or not you can justify it from a strategic standpoint. And then I want you to determine how you will select your winner, and also I'm going to add in and how will you announce. So there's been a lot of controversy in the YouTube world. A very well-known YouTuber said that he was going to be giving away $10,000 to somebody who commented the most or got top likes on one of his YouTube videos or something like that. And it was a video, I think it was uploaded around the same time as the Manchester bombing, and it might have even had something to do with the Manchester bombing. Anyways, it turns out that he actually, he hasn't announced a winner, and it doesn't seem as though he's actually given anybody the winnings from the contest that he ran. And so there's quite a bit of controversy around that for a number of reasons, but being transparent, especially on social media, is just so incredibly important, especially when it comes to contests. And in Canada, there are a lot of rules around these types of things. If you run a contest and you don't actually select a winner, you can have legal repercussions. So this is why we want to cover it in this assignment. So how will you select a winner, and how are you going to announce your winner? So as I said, maximum 2 pages, 12-point font for this assignment. And then I've got an outline of just what each amount is going to be worth. For your content calendar, you can, there are a bunch of different ways that you can do it. There are spreadsheets that are content calendars that you can just Google, free Google Docs calendar for whatever month that you want, and just fill out your content calendar. Or if you want, you can just, you can write down each day of the month that you're going to be putting something out. I don't really care about the format as long as the content is there and as long as it's really easy to read and really easy to follow. If you go on from this class, I know that a lot of you are already managing social media accounts. Some of you haven't been managing them, or maybe you're just kind of like using your own account. But when you start working as a social media manager, as a community manager, when you start working in this world, content calendars are going to be the backbone of your success. So it's really important that you find a template that you like and give it a go. HubSpot also has a bunch of different resources for you, so you can check that out. And I'll put links in our recommended readings for this week. I'll put some links to content calendars that you can use. There's so many out there. There's so many different versions. And I mean, I don't care what version you use as long as it works for you. And I'm the same way in the workplace. I don't care what my staff uses. I just, as long as it's working for them, that's good enough for me. All right, that's it for this week. I really appreciate everything that you guys have been doing with this class. I appreciate you tuning in every week. And this week, if you have a contest that you've seen, or, if there have been like total fail contests that you've seen, why don't you share that with us this week? Use the hashtag comp9604 and just let us know about some really awesome contests that you've seen. And, maybe you haven't seen an awesome one. You've seen one where you're just like, oh, I don't think that was a very good idea. So share that one too. No need to directly call out the brands, though. We're not trying to shame anybody. We just want to learn from different examples. All right, that's everything for this week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.